Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to watch a couple of TikToks. They both have to do with not wanting fat people like me to lose weight or having issues with fat people like me losing weight. So I want to go ahead and kind of answer or do a little bit of a clap back to these girlies. So let's get started. We're starting with FierceFatFemme. We're going to break it down.
Seen a large uptick, pun intended, of fat creators now posting about their intentional weight loss. Problem is not the weight loss, although of course there can be lots of frustrating feelings regarding weight loss.
So I've noticed when it comes to fat activists, they're very, very upset about intentional weight loss. I think because I don't know what it is, but for them, it is this sort of unholy sin within the religion of fat acceptance. Because I've noticed, like, if you were to be in a fat acceptance space and say, I'm intentionally losing weight, that would cause havoc. People would be very, very, very angry at you. People would, I don't know if they'd like, I think it would be enough to outcast you if you just flat out said that. Like, I almost wish I could go into one of these fat acceptance communities or circles or whatever and just say, yeah, I want to intentionally lose weight and see what they say. Because they're all about like, oh, well, if it's an accident, if you accidentally lose weight. It's crazy to me.
The problem is when you are on an intentional weight loss journey and
Intentional.
you also intentionally shit on the fat community at the same time.
Okay. So I have an issue with this because there is no such thing as the fat community. That is not a real thing. There is no community of fat people. Fat people are all completely different. Fat people have completely different lives, completely different values, completely different beliefs, completely different everything. There is not really anything that gives two fat people something in common other than being fat. There's no like, whoa, we all have the same experience, or whoa, we all have this or we all have that. Like, you don't. You may have some similar experiences, but you can't guarantee that every fat person has had those experiences. And also, fatness is a spectrum. So people who have been somewhat overweight could have very, very different experiences from people who have been super morbidly obese. I talk a lot about that on this channel, that even weight loss from a super morbidly obese perspective, it's very different than somebody who doesn't have to lose that much, has to lose like 30 pounds. It's a totally different context. So even within that context, there isn't a universal experience, which is why I think it's really stupid to dub something the fat community. Saying the fat community, it does sort of suggest that fat people all agree on something, and they don't. And they certainly don't agree on pretty much anything in regards to fatness. They don't have any there's no commonality. There's no common thought processes within fat people because it's not that culturally relevant, and fatness is not actually a point of identity, which they try really, really, really hard to make it one, but it isn't.
Calling the fat acceptance community and fat liberation a cult.
It is one because you guys get upset if people leave. Like, if it wasn't, then you wouldn't be making this video. But a lot of people have said that. I'm just repeating that because that is the case. You would not be upset if people left fat acceptance if it wasn't. If you're upset, that is a little bit of a warning sign, okay? And it really only grants credence to that thought. Now she'll say, well, like she just said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you lost weight. It doesn't matter. Yes, it does. That's not true. It does matter, especially if it was intentional. So I'm telling you, FierceFatFemme, I am intentionally losing weight. for health reasons, for looks reasons, for career reasons, for movement in life reasons, for every reason you could possibly lose weight. That's why I'm choosing to intentionally lose weight. What would she say to that? She'd be very upset if I said that to her.
Now, who's the real cult? Diet culture or fat community?
Diet culture has its own issues, but diet culture, there are certain diets that can be a little bit, you know, when you look at something like vegans, there is that same kind of, if you leave it, there's a huge issue, especially online. I've seen people who have come out as no longer vegan getting massive hate, massive, 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 just absolute. And when it comes to certain keto communities, there can be these very, very holy tenets and people who are just very, very, very extra. Like if you were to tell a keto person, I love to drink orange juice every morning, they freak out. They'll say, oh, well, that'll just kill me. And that's that. And oh my gosh, that's so much sugar. I can't believe you're eating that. Wow, that's so crazy, blah, 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 right? That can be a little bit weird. Like when there's that much enforcement on something that is pretty benign, then that is a little odd. I wouldn't consider that as much of a thing, but within certain diet cultures, yes. But diet culture is not a monolith either. So, yeah.
Theory here, okay? There is a communication studies theory. It's called in-group and out-group. When you are a part of the out-group, aka in this situation, a fat person in a fat-phobic society, once you have a little taste of the power and privilege you can get when you become a part of the in-group.
So this is interesting as far as their thought process. I remember when I was really, really fat when I was younger, when I was in high school, I used to feel this kind of intuitive feeling that like if I was thin, then I would, be too powerful, or I'd feel powerful over others, or I wouldn't know what to do with it, or I don't know, I'd get too much attention, or you have like, these, in my opinion, this is kind of like a BED, weird body image issue thing. That's my opinion. Because it's very strange to really think about this in this way. It is giving, ED. It's giving that. So I would just, maybe FierceFatFemme should look into it because that is very strange. It's not actually normal to compare your body to everybody's body all the time. That's not normal. That's a little bit weird. That's like at least kind of like a body dysmorphia, or, it could slip into or be more of an ED issue. You need to chill, okay? Nobody's self-worth comes from their size. Nobody's human worth comes from their size. That's not true. But your health is very much dependent on your size and things like attraction and other stuff, and your ability to work and move in the world and your ability to function in the world. They are all tied to your size. So I think it's important to keep the conversation about weight very, very physical, not political, not, this weird psychological, spiritual type of thing that fat acceptance tries to do, emotional, right? We need to keep it physical. Physicality is key when it comes to looking at issues of weight. That is key.
For this instance, thin privilege. You then make sure to show that you are different from the out group that you once belonged to, usually by shitting on that group.
So I would say that there is another explanation. So let me tell you my experience, okay? So I have lost at this point, I've lost either 86 or 87 pounds of fat. And that's quite a bit. And I find now that as I start losing more and I start getting more confident in the fact that I can continue to lose, that fat acceptance is completely wrong and you don't have to gain all the weight back and you don't have to do this and you don't have to do that and it's not impossible and all these things I feel like I have to say because I know it will piss them off, and also they're liars. You guys lie. So the further I go and the more confident I get that I can continue, the more I realize I can be honest about how truly awful it is to be fat. Because a lot of times when you're very big, you try not to think about it that much. You try because it's sort of a survival mechanism. You are trying to just get through each day so you don't actually feel how you feel, or you try not to, as a survival mechanism. So I think a lot of people that lose weight, they feel so much better and they remember how they used to feel and they just feel like, gosh, I don't ever want to be that way again. It was awful. And that's how I feel already. Like when I think about when I was almost 400 pounds, when I think about how I just felt like I was living underwater all the time, when I think about the psychological turmoil of that time period of when I was that big, the physical pain that I was constantly in at all times, how difficult every task was, how difficult it was for me to focus on working, how difficult it was for me to do pretty much anything. I think about it, and because I'm not there anymore and I know I don't have to be there anymore, I can honestly say how awful it is. And it'll be the same when I've lost even more than I have now, and I can think back to all the social issues that I've been experiencing at this mid-fat stage, and I can really talk about how awful the social impacts of being mid-fat are. They're awful. I can talk about how horrible it is socially to be fat. I don't want to sit there and talk about it as much now because I am trying to survive it, right? But when I think about losing weight further, I think, oh gosh, like it will be so amazing to not have this social aspect anymore that I've been dealing with over the past year. It has been awful. So yes, I will talk about it more, but it doesn't mean that it isn't awful now. This is a cope, Fierce Fat Femme, absolute cope.
And saying like, I'm not like one of those fatties. I'm currently losing weight. Can you see my collarbone? Okay, so you get that taste of privilege, that taste of power, and you're like, how do I keep getting it? You only have a small taste of thin privilege. And if you continue to stay plus size, even while losing weight, you will never have all of the thin privilege that being thin gives you. So you will still be oppressed by the
Okay. So this is an interesting thing too. It's kind of, we're getting slightly into narcissistic ABUSE territory. This is very much no one else will love you like I do. This is a very toxic mindset to have. And it's very strange for her to be projecting this to everybody. For the record, I do plan on being thin. My goal is 17% body fat. It is an ambitious goal. I'm sure it will take me years, but that is my goal. I'm not concerned about what privilege I do or do not have. I don't really care because I know what my goals are and I will achieve them. And it's really that simple. So when I'm talking about, when she's saying, oh, if you stay plus size and you do this and you do that, I can kind of understand what she's saying, as I have been an anti-FA YouTuber, still being big. It's a little bit difficult, but a lot of times it's just really about, I've been trying to argue for my method of weight loss, for what I've been talking about in terms of my thyroid protocol and these types of things. And it takes time, and you have to kind of prove that you know what you're talking about by actually executing it. And you also have to do all these things, in terms of fighting fat acceptance. That's what I've chosen to do. I've chosen to publicly lose weight. That's why I started when I was still fat talking about this issue. And yes, there are some issues there because a lot of people think, well, you're still fat. Why should I listen to you? And that is kind of fat phobic, to be honest. But I would say that it's important to listen to it's important to have voices or people that are losing weight publicly, in my opinion, because a super fat person or a super morbidly obese person, they will not hear it as well from somebody who has always presented to them as thin or who doesn't have a backlog of videos of when they're super huge. I do. I have a backlog of videos. I can show you guys that I've been there, that I am there, that I will leave. That's powerful. That's why I do it. It's not all about thin people all the time. A lot of what I do on this channel, it's for very big people. I want them to see that there is a way out. That's important to me. So that's also why I chose to do it. So yes, I can understand what she's saying there. There's some point to it, but that's okay. Credibility comes the more weight I lose, and it's happening. I'm doing it without drugs. I'm doing it without surgery. I'm doing it without these things. I'm showing that those are last resorts. And again, I'm not here to shame anybody for doing that. If I was 10 or 15 years older, I probably would have to. You know, I think survival is most important. And if those things have helped you to be alive still, I am very happy and grateful that those were available to you. But anyways, let's continue.
Power dynamic.
So this one is Splotchmaker. I wanted to cover this video just because I feel a lot of salt in it. And also I feel like there are certain things that I can explain while she's talking about it. So let's go ahead and do that.
People will go on a weight loss journey and then say, oh my God, I feel so much better after losing weight. I just have more energy waking up in the morning. My body just moves better. I just feel more myself. Like, come on, guys. Whole time they are exercising, eating more fruits and veggies, and 3, sticking to a routine. But somehow that always gets pushed to the side as if that is an inconsequential part of why they feel better, as if it has no part whatsoever in how they felt better. It was not the fact that they increased the diversity of their diet. It was not the fact that they started moving their body more. It was the weight. It was the weight.
Okay. So I want to go ahead and address this. So I have some experience with this. So those of you guys who have been on my channel for a while, you understand that I have been on my thyroid protocol since March of 2021. Or if you've forgotten or don't remember, I've been on my protocol since March of 2021. So it's been almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years on March 15th. I only started losing weight in summer of 2022 in August. So really the first half of that 3 years, I was not losing weight. In fact, I gained weight in the very beginning. And the fact is, she's right. Eating healthier. I cut out seed oils, for example. That was a major change. I changed a lot of the estrogenic foods I was eating. You know, I avoided soy, that kind of stuff. I really made sure I took care of my thyroid. I even took some herbs that helped bring down estrogen, as my estrogen was very high. So basically, I did all this stuff to help my thyroid out. And I did it for a long time without even pursuing weight loss because my health was so bad. My thyroid health was particularly so bad. I didn't even know if I was going to live. So I did all this for quite a while. And she's right. Even without weight loss, I felt better. Over the year and a half, every month, I'd feel better and better. I was getting further and further out of it. By February of 2022, I knew that I was going to be okay in the long run, but I was still so severe. But around summer of 2022, I hit a glass ceiling. I hit a point where I wasn't recovering any further. And that was a problem for me because I realized that although I was walking, 4 or 5 hours a day, I was, eating a balanced diet, and I was doing all my prothyroid steps and improving, and I had vastly improved. My weight was an issue. My weight was always going to be an issue. My weight was always going to affect me hormonally in a way that I could not get any better at that size. And so I knew for certain that I had to start counting calories. I needed to start reducing my weight. And I was ready at that point. My metabolism had healed, and my metabolism had gotten back to a point of calories in, calories out, where it made sense, where I wasn't drastically losing muscle if I cut calories, right? I wasn't doing these types of things. My hormones were very strong when I went into a caloric deficit. And so basically, I pursued it, and I actually felt worse being in a deficit, because when you're in a deficit, it actually makes hypo slightly worse. So I had to balance a deficit with my other thyroid steps to keep myself in check. But over the time that I lost weight, I felt better and better and better. And it was really summer of 2023, towards September, where I really started to notice walking around is easier. Doing things in my life is easier than it used to be. I'm having a drastic improvement in my quality of life. And it's the same thing when you are okay when you're fat. It's like you're okay until you aren't. You're fine, and then it seems like all of a sudden your health absolutely takes a shit. That's what it's like when you're very, very big. I don't think that she's had her moment where her health is going to take a shit. And it's coming, girl. It's coming. Trust me. I see your future. I've lived it. I know what's to come. It is horrible. The path that you're on is awful. But what I will say is, it's kind of similar on the other way. So as I said, when I was losing weight, it made me feel worse. I'd feel depressed. I'd feel tired. I would feel irritable, agitated. My hormones were all over the place as I'm losing the weight. But then all of a sudden, it just starts to get better. You chip and chip and chip and chip and chip and chip away at the fat. And then all of a sudden, you feel better. And it's like, whoa. And then you keep going, and then you feel better. So it's like, I'm not going to stop. I know it's tough to be in a deficit. A lot of people don't believe that, especially people who have never been super morbidly obese. It is tougher, but you have to think of it as an investment. It's a sacrifice today for a better tomorrow when you're healthy enough to pursue that. So I do agree that there is some nuance in this area that needs to be addressed, especially for super morbidly obese people that have significant issues, especially hormone issues and hypothyroidism. But in terms of, does the weight need to come off? Yes, it absolutely needs to come off. You shouldn't be fat. You shouldn't be fat at all. You should have a normal BMI. You shouldn't be fat. It's not good for your hormones. It's not good for you. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your physical health. It puts strain on your heart. Even at lower levels of fatness, it's just not something that at this point, after what I've experienced, I will not take the risk. I'm just not going to, which is why my goal is 17%, because I want to be as fit as I can. So let's go ahead and continue, but I just wanted to break that down.
So many people will start these resolutions where they're moving their body more, they're diverse. They will think, wow, I feel so much better. Get on a scale, see that they have not lost weight or gained weight, and immediately think, wow, I'm so unhealthy. I'm so bad. Man, this is terrible. Because it's not about health. If we really focused on just making our bodies feel better, there wouldn't be an emphasis on weight.
So as I said, it is a nuanced topic for sure. There is some relevance to what she's saying, but weight is absolutely tied to health. You cannot take that away. You will reach a glass ceiling. You will reach a point where you cannot get any healthier at the weight that you're at, where it is still holding you down. It is what it is. It's reality.
Literally been studies too. If people want to talk about, oh, well, of course weight loss helps with health. There have been studies where people who literally had their fat just removed, just like lipo, and their markers, their health markers, all that jazz, were not improved from the people who stayed fat. Weight loss is just a potential possible.
So remember that what's important is your hormone health, which if you're still taking the same steps in your diet, or if you're eating a lot of fast food, you're eating tons of seed oils, you're having a lot of estrogenic foods like soy, for example, it doesn't matter. You're still going to have those hormone issues and your markers will not improve. So weight loss is something that is done in tandem with other steps, which this is known throughout any diet. You know that you're supposed to eat healthier. We all know this because it's not just about the fat, but the fat is a part of it, and the fat is hormonally active. The fat does cause problems. Yes. Also, too, she doesn't understand that fat, the effects are delayed. So if you gain weight, you don't feel the health effects from that weight gain for a while. You have to stay higher for a while. It's the same when you lose. You have to lose the weight and keep it off for a while, and then you get the health benefit. There's a lag. And I think in her mind, she only sees it as if it doesn't happen immediately, then it doesn't happen. So you don't know if the markers didn't change in 6 months, a year. You don't know. It takes a while. When we gain weight slowly throughout our lives, or even quickly in some cases, we don't feel the health effects till sometimes 10 or 15 years after being super morbidly obese. It takes time. It's a time game. It's a slow thing. It's a slow build. And what's going to happen to Splashmaker is she's going to reach a point where her body gives out on her. She's going to have a moment, and it will happen around 25 to 30. Those years are very, very hairy for somebody who has been super fat most of their life. If she hasn't been fat that long, she may have until her mid-30s. But it is what it is.
Side effect of changing your lifestyle, and just as likely as weight loss is to happen, weight maintenance and weight gain.
Sorry, I'm coughing. I got a tickle.
Those are both equal, if not more possible, possibilities. We need to be actively deconstructing the idea that weight loss and getting smaller is what health is what feeling good is.
No. So that's not true. It's a part of it. It's not the whole picture. That's the problem that people have. They think it's the entire thing. Oh my gosh, my throat is killing me. She's doing a psychic attack on me as I'm doing this. That's not the entire picture, but it is a major part of the picture.
We need to stop. Let's focus on actual health promoting behaviors in 2024. Please.
So I think that that's fine, but part of health promoting behaviors is weight loss if you're super morbidly obese. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I'm trying to make these a little bit shorter just because I feel bad. I feel like I'm like always talking your guys' ears off. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye.